This is an SM Media production.
Hi folks, and welcome to the second episode of the SM Media Pro Wrestling Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. Delighted to be joined by in this week's episode, very special guest, Shady Nattrass. Shady, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having us on. I'm excited to be chatting with you.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. Obviously, this show's going to be a little bit different than kind of usual interview show that we do, but we are going to obviously talk about what's happened over the past week. It's been a very busy week, particularly in the UK scene. Clash at the Castle, with first show in 30 years. Shade, it was a great show. Overall, it was a really enjoyable show from start to finish.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very solid show. A lot better WWE product at the moment. I think they've tidied things up. The camera cuts being reduced and things like that. I think it's made a big difference to it.
As well, you mentioned there about the camera cuts. I think it's just an overall. Did you happen to see Triple H's interview with Ariel Helwani?
Oh no, I didn't see it.
I would recommend watching that because it's probably one of the most refreshing interviews I would say in the past few years. Obviously, Triple H knows what he wants to do. He knows what he likes. You've seen that with who he's brought back. He's brought back Johnny Gargano, Karrion Kross. He knows what he wants. And he knows, I think, he's looking at it from a fan's perspective. Like, he knows what you and I would like. And I think that's very noticeable, I think, now.
I think it felt like the most pro wrestling WWE show for a long time. Even like the crowd interaction and things, which the UK crowd obviously made a big part of that. I don't think the US fans are quite as enthusiastic as the UK fans, but I think it made a big difference that the wrestlers seem to interact more with the fans, which makes the atmosphere on a whole feel, as I say, a bit more pro wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, it's a stadium event. It's the crowd that they're hungry for it, and we've got a really good main event now. It's up in the air whether you like the finish or not. I'm not too sure. I'm going to ask your thoughts. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. I'm from the same area as Drew McIntyre, so I thought this was the moment. I thought it was kind of made when he kicked out of the two spears. You're thinking, yeah, this is it. Yeah. Especially when Theory came down, Tyson Fury obviously got involved. We'll touch on that in a few minutes, but the overall match was a really, really good one. It was really kind of, as you say, kind of edge of your seat stuff. What did you think of the finish? I think it was the right call, or do you think they've missed a chance to kind of make this a huge moment?
It's a tough one because I think everything was set up for Drew to win, but I also think that the extension of the bloodline was a good touch, and I think the bigger question is if Drew wasn't the one to beat him on Saturday, who is the one to beat him? I don't think you'll have a better moment for somebody to beat him.
Can I throw a name at you?
Yeah.
Cody.
Yeah.
As it set up for WrestleMania, for Royal Rumble kind of thing, like the Triple H Classic coming back from an injury and winning the Rumble? Because that ending that reign, I think that was that or WrestleMania. They're the only two times that would have made sense. But obviously, the thing is, I think there's obviously a reason that they're going to make it longer. I think as well, you can do so much now with that bloodline.
Yeah. My thing is Cody the man to sit at the top? Is he good enough to build your promotion around? I'm not so sure.
Who is who right now? Exactly, right now, who would you say like?
Exactly, but I think the likes of Roman and Brock and Drew, they're the sort of heavyweights that you want at the top. think if you look earlier on the card with the Gunter and Sheamus match, I'd have threw them two in as well as in the mix as well as them as Roman, Brock, and Drew. Them five would have main event matches, as far as I'm concerned. And I think heavyweight matches are where WWE is really excelling at the moment.
Yeah, I think as well. Like, I think we're obviously not going to see Roman as often as we probably want to, because of I think as well he's carried the company for 2 years. Like, he's carried it in the empty arena time and all that. But I think it was just a moment to, even if I don't want to say, right, let's give McIntyre the win. Nobody wanted him to win more than me. Nobody wanted him to have that moment more than me, because he was robbed of it at the Mania with COVID.
Yeah.
But it was just so, he was kicking out spears. The crowd you saw the crowd were absolutely behind him. It felt like a boxing event.
Yes.
See, when you've got the kind of hometown guy, I know you heard that reaction. You saw the crowd booing Roman, and that's just what I love about Roman Reigns. He's had to obviously build that again to get back to getting the crowd to react for him in a positive way. But the way they're booing him, that's his job. That is what he's doing, and he's done it so well the past couple of years. You generally think this guy's unbeatable.
What I liked about Roman on Saturday was that the fans, his facial expressions, he was unsettled by the fans and his body language, and I thought it was brilliant. I thought he absolutely made Drew look like a star by having that reaction. And like, I mean, I've known Drew for a long time, since he was a teenager, and I think Drew was always destined for top of WWE, and it would have been a nice touch, him being over here winning the title. Even if it wasn't a long reign, it would have been just one of the moments that I think it would have been talked about for 30 years, like Bulldog winning at SummerSlam.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I was also at.
Were you?
as a young boy, I was there. I was at Wembley Stadium.
And you think of that, and you think the parallels are obviously, you've got the hometown hero against the foreign conqueror, and the thing is, we'll touch on Tyson Fury, and obviously a huge boxing fan. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like
It wasn't needed.
It wasn't needed. I understand, like, if Tyson Fury, like the earlier thing of him in Roman's locker room, if you're going to do now, Tyson Fury Roman Reigns would be probably, it wouldn't be obviously a vintage match, but in terms of headlines, it would be wow. I mean, definitely. So I just didn't. I think it made Drew look a bit silly as well, coming out and then singing. I know it was kind of make the fans to go home happy and things like that,
but did it?
No, because we're still talking about is it the right or wrong call? So
because I think it didn't. Everybody was just confused.
Yeah.
It was, what's happened? What's happened here? We've gone from.
You thought it was going to build to something like, I don't know if they're going back to Saudi Arabia. I don't know. I would imagine they are probably late October, but if they are, then that seems like when Tyson Fury went in the ring, I was thinking, right, okay, he's going to set up him and Roman. Yeah, I think that's not going to be. We're not going to see a Bret Hart Shawn Michaels classic here, but it's going to be such a newsworthy. It's going to be in the front page. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be such a spectacle. But they shook hands, and then he went and picked Drew up, sang with Drew, and that was it.
Why did he shake his hand?
Yeah.
None of it seemed to make any sense. It was it was a bit weird.
And I kind of, when I was watching the match and was really invested in it, when Theory's music hit, I thought that's the way they get out of this. That's the way they get out, because obviously I don't think they want to pin Drew. I certainly don't think they want to pin Roman. Let's have Theory in there. Let's see if we can do it that way. Can I Drew pin Theory? And then you've because I don't think Triple H is saying,
it's a way out.
Yeah, I don't think Triple H is saying to himself, "Yeah, I'm going to make Theory the world champion." I don't think he was a Triple H project. So, but that's the thing as well. How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you? Because
for me, having a heel as Money in the Bank holder, they need to be beating a face.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're going to turn Roman, I wouldn't turn Roman at this point.
No.
I think he's doing the best work of his career.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's. I've always hated when he gets his little internal monologues in the ring and grabbing the microphone and stuff. But when he grabbed the microphone on Saturday, it was perfect.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was brilliant.
There was obviously other matches in the card. We mentioned there the Gunther versus Sheamus, which I think was the best match in the card, hands down. I just thought it was perfect. One
of the best WWE matches I've seen in years.
Yeah.
Easy to say that. And I'm not particularly a big fan of either man. But if they deliver, they deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And they definitely did.
And it's that thing as well, like that's what you want. You want to see the kind of mid-card championships being exposed and all that like that. And I thought the bringing back Imperium was perfect. I thought that worked out. Change Pete Dunne's name. That's the only thing. My only issue. Change Pete Dunne's name.
My only issue with the Imperium thing is they should have been out first.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you bring them out first, everybody would have booed them, and then when Sheamus and Dunne and Ridge came out, the place would have went just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But there was, I think, a few of the entrances seemed a bit odd, as in, because realistically a heel should always be out first.
Yeah, I've always thought that. Yeah.
And it wasn't the way. It didn't happen. Like the opening match, they had the Asuka's team come out first. Mm-hmm. Now I wondered if that was because they are unsure if Damage Control can be fully heels without people cheering for them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's. I mean, that was. I'm not sure about the Damage Control thing yet. I think it's obviously it's given us a bit of excitement in that division, but as you say, do people want to boo Bayley?
No,
especially coming back from an injury like that.
And she's trying the hardest. It's nothing to do with what she's doing.
Yeah,
and I think even the fact of Io and Dakota Kai, people want to cheer them because they're fresh.
Yeah.
I think they need some singles wins, big singles wins, to kind of have them up to Bayley's level rather than being Bayley's lackeys, because they've got so much upside to them both. I think hiding them in the background would be a mistake.
And I have to be honest, I didn't get as much as I've been a fan of the way that it seems as if there's been a creative shift in terms of it seems to be more exciting. I didn't understand not giving Io and Dakota the tag titles.
Oh, that whole tournament was a bit of a head scratcher for me.
The only way I thought it made sense is if like Sasha and Naomi came back. If that was I don't know. I imagine that's the plan, because it seems to be kind of the talk that they're coming back.
That's the thing. I'm always a bigger picture kind of wrestling fan, but at the same time, you need it has to happen. You can't go, okay, well, I'll just see where they're going with it. And sometimes they just drag things out and you think they don't know where they're going with this.
Yeah.
And that's where you've got to have an ending to your story, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the same could be said for Roman. Unless it's Cody, they maybe haven't got an end game for Roman. So
I just think that was. I don't know. I think that was. It must be Cody, because it can't be. I can't think who else it could be. I mean, do you bring back Randy? Do you push Riddle? I mean, we'll touch on Riddle and Seth Rollins. I thought that being built towards a Hell in a Cell type of thing, which is I think the next event they've got.
Extreme Rules is next.
Extreme Rules. It feels like it's going towards some sort of like bloodbath, shall we say?
Some sort of gimmick match. Definitely.
But I've been quite liking that. I thought the way that, obviously, you know, there's personal animosity there. I think there absolutely is.
I'm not a big fan of Riddle because I don't get him. He's as a whole, his style, his character, everything. For me, it doesn't mold together for me.
Yeah.
But I think Rollins has he's kind of evolved into a brilliant old school type wrestling villain.
Mm-hmm.
He's over the top. He's even if you don't hate him, you go,
you're quite annoying, like that.
Yeah, he's just I can't like you because you're arrogant. You know what I mean? That's
what you want.
That's what he's meant to be. Even like the wearing the costumes and his outfits and stuff, they're over the top because he's a wrestling villain.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestlers in the 80s were over the top.
Yeah.
And I think like Rollins is another one I'm not a massive fan on, but he, as I say, he's doing his job perfectly, and I think he's not being at the top of the card is doing him wonders.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the kind of workhorse, like you saw up with Cody. They carried that.
Yeah.
That kind of feud. I think he's going to do the same with Riddle. It's just he's making everything he must see, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
The next one I want to talk about was Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler. Now it seemed to be like we were going to get a Ronda Rousey interfering. She was going to cause destruction. I didn't see that. It was clean. I was surprised. I thought we would either see Rousey causing a no contest and something happening with Baszler and Rousey,
for me, I'm not convinced by Liv as a champion. She's trying, but especially against Shayna, it's not believable.
Yeah.
And I don't think the finish did Shayna any favours.
No, it didn't. It absolutely didn't. And I was desperate to see her getting a right push and be booked as how she was in NXT as a kind of, and that's why I was thinking this is going to be like, because I don't think they'll take the title off Liv, and I think they'll maybe move away from Rousey. I think they'll maybe go do something with Rousey and Baszler. It just seemed as if, what do you do now? How do you bring Rousey into that mix? Charlotte Flair's going to come back in. Who are you building from SmackDown to be next?
And the thing was, what they could have done for me was, I'd have believed some sort of count out win for Shayna because Liv was too beaten up.
Yeah.
I think that would have made both sides would have gained from that, because I think Liv being on the smaller side, especially to Shayna, I think the fans should be showing sympathy to her, and there was none of that.
No,
and like even going in with a severe arm injury, like she was, it wasn't there, and yeah, I just think it was a big part that was missing. But yeah, it was the match was passable. It was
fine. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. It was just you were waiting on something happening, and I was thinking, just when's it? How are they going to do this? Because I mean, Rousey was out on Friday night, and SmackDown kind of, I don't know, like causing destruction, and I want that from Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey isn't going to be the person who's going to give you 20-minute promos. So have her be what she is, the baddest woman on the planet. Have her be the anti-authority. Have her be that something different. You're not. It's what was the purpose of that on Friday if you're not going to do that Sunday? And I'm not criticising. I imagine there's a plan for that, but I think that we're going to see a problem. I think there's a lot of things that Triple H wants to fix that he can't yet, because how do you do it so quickly? You can't. You're just going to confuse the viewer.
Yeah. When he does make the changes, they need to make sense, or else there's no point doing them.
Yeah, absolutely. One change that did happen, Dominic Mysterio finally turned on his father. Now, I thought this match was fine. I actually thought it was
I thought
really
it was
good.
It
I thought it was a great match.
It was just a solid tag team match, and I thought Priest is better as a tag partner rather than a singles wrestler. I think it hides his weaknesses, and definitely he can get all of his good stuff in. You know what I mean? You know what you're going to get from Balor, Edge, and Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
It's but yeah, I thought everything was fine, and I loved Rey's dive onto Rhea. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was. I love Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea Ripley's she's amazing at what she's done. And see when they turned on Edge, she was the best thing about that, because with just the facials, and then she just built on it. She's just perfect for that role. That role. See when they were bringing up the Judgment Day and they were mentioning her, I'm like, that's exactly what she needs. That's the best thing for her, and I think she's going to thrive.
And it fits. And being in there with Balor, Edge, Rey,
she's going to learn.
It's only going to make her better. And
absolutely.
It's the same for Priest as well. It'll make him better. My issue with Dominic is he hasn't really got any better.
No.
For being in the position that he's been in, he should have improved a lot more than he has, which is a shame. But as I say, whether there's a bigger picture to getting something out of Rey, I don't know.
Do you think it's going to be father versus son, or do you think it's going to be like this evil group are going to try and get? Why did they've tried it? Why now has he changed it? I get if you're going to. I think the way they're going to do it is, why wasn't I picked as a tag team partner? Why did you go to Edge? Why did you go to this old guy?
Yeah.
I think if you do that, that's fine. But we need to. I'm not comfortable that Dominic Mysterio is going to carry a program, because Rey's not a great talker.
No.
So how do you do it?
And is that why they've got him with Judgment Day? Kind of have them
again
do the promos.
But that's the other thing as well. Ripley's only really Priest isn't great at talking. Finn Balor, I've never brilliant in ring.
Yeah.
But as a talker,
but then you're putting them to the back for the actual match. So yeah, it's a bit. It's
a weird one.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. But the whole event was obviously brilliant for the UK wrestling scene. You said you were there '92 for SummerSlam. Watching that event, did it feel just what we've needed for 30 years? Just that the UK crowd getting their moment, because it was so just. It felt so much like a big event.
It felt special, and like when it is WrestleMania, everybody's excited for the event, and it was nice to feel like you see all the likes of social media all being around the event, even if they weren't at the show, they were talking about it. There was nothing particularly negative going on about it, which was a really good thing, because we all know how wrestling can be.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. Like, spreading WrestleMania over 2 nights has helped, because you've not got this tired crowd who are six. I mean, if that event was 5 hours long, I don't think we see that. I think we see it because of Drew, but I think when you see a tired crowd, the crowd were up for everything. The crowd, that's what you want. You don't want the keeping that. I thought 3.5 hours was perfect, to be honest. Just the whole time, I thought all the matches kind of flew in.
I think the live match was the first one where the crowd came down.
Yeah, I think so, but I think they came alive as soon as they heard the Edge's music and all that.
It came back up. It definitely did, and yeah, it was like as I said before, the fans helped make it because of the interactions, which we all know that they were kind of the wrestlers have been in the past told not to interact with the fans.
Yeah.
And it's part of wrestling.
Yeah.
That the interaction, and I thought it was brilliant.
What about going forward? Do you have an annual UK event, or do we think there's a WrestleMania? Do you want a WrestleMania? Or do you want? Because I think it would just be. I like the idea of once a year you're coming to the UK, as opposed to doing a WrestleMania. You can make it your own WrestleMania in a way.
Yeah, it would definitely. I think it would make it a more special occasion if it was a regular thing, rather than do you have one big money WrestleMania moment, or do you come back every year for a regular big crowd?
Yeah,
it's the demand for it would go up having a yearly one, because if you have a WrestleMania, anybody that doesn't get tickets, that's kind of, you're done there. You've lost custom.
yeah.
Whereas if they know, I can't get tickets for this year, I'll have to go next year.
Yeah,
I think it'll make a demand for it.
I think there's so much as well. Like Cardiff, I thought was perfect for what they wanted to do, but you've got so many venues around the UK. You can do it. Yeah. Wembley, Old Trafford, Etihad, even up here, you've got 3 top-class stadiums. Like, there's so much you can do. The one thing I want to touch on that Triple H did say that I think is a wee bearing in the UK scene is the NXT Europe. It's going to be more, I think, a reboot as opposed to a complete scrap. I think you're still going to see a lot of the UK talent that are there. I think as well, we're going to see like World Cup ideas. I think they're going to do NXT India, NXT kind of Mexico. It seems to kind of all be linking to kind of one, like the Triple H said about that. What the main roster is the NFL, and we're going to have all these colleges. That seems to be the right way to do it, because you've so much talent in the UK and across Europe that are going to thrive in that environment and make the step up.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit strange for me how they've kind of put a full stop on the end of NXT UK. It just kind of felt like they gave up on it, like the way that they finished it off.
Yeah,
it was just a bit scrappy, like Tyler Bate being on the TV with the title when, if you watched NXT UK, he hadn't won it yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
little things like that. It was just a bit, it was a bit messy for what they could have done with it.
See, like, obviously some of the guys that have been kind of let go from that scene that are now in the. Do you worry for them, or do you think this will be a perfect opportunity for them to kind of thrive again? How do you think that's going to work?
Well, I think there's positives from either way for them, really, because them being back on the scene is obviously adds more high quality talent to an already really good scene.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that it'll help improve the talent at the moment.
Yeah,
that's on the British scene, because there's things that these ex-NXT UK wrestlers will be able to pass on that would help wrestlers get better for if they were to go to WWE, or just improvement in general. Getting wrestlers TV ready, as they say, it would definitely help.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously we've kind of touched on obviously the big events taking place over the week. We'll touch on your career. Obviously you're Carlisle born and bred, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
How was that? Like, how were you kind of get into the business? How did the first kind of idea that you could do this? I know obviously you said you were a fan growing up. Like, when did it become a reality that this is something I could do?
I have 3 brothers, so obviously growing up watching wrestling, we trashed the house a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll have been 99 when I'll have been 16, and that was kind of, okay, if it's just something that we can do, we'll go and we'll find somewhere to do it. Unfortunately, there was only really Hammerlock in Kent
Right.
that was around, and that was a bit too much of a trek for us to do at that time. And we found a school in Blackpool in one of the magazines, maybe a Power Slam.
Right.
And to be honest, we got well and truly ripped off. But we got started and we got the bug. And from there, we moved to a school in Stoke. And that was, you know what I mean, a 3-hour drive, 5 hours training on mats, and then 3 hours back. But it was what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think a big difference between then and now is if you wanted to be a wrestler, you had to want to be a wrestler. Whereas now it's a bit easier, which isn't always the best for, as I say, you need to want it to be really good at it. And yeah, that's where we started on shows, and that will have been 2001 was my first show. So 21 years in the business for me.
What were they kind of early matches like? Like who was kind of helping you along the way up until that point? Can I get to a stage where you could get in the ring?
We had the likes of Dean Allmark, who was still young himself, because I think Dean's the same age as me. But he was there just before he started his All-Star run. Mikey Whiplash, Keith Myatt was a big help for us, and yeah, it was rough back then, because little things that people take for granted now, like we didn't even get a match time. All we got told was this person is going over.
Right.
And then you just went in blind.
Yeah.
But it means that, like, now that we do have all this more information, it makes it a lot easier. But yeah, you kind of had to learn on as you go. And as I say, with the likes of Keith Myatt, who was a massively experienced wrestler, it was you learned every time you were in the ring, and it was it was, the matches weren't the best. I can quite happily put my hands up and say that, but it got us where we wanted to be, and that was our foot in the door.
Yeah, absolutely. What's it like? Obviously, at that stage, you're trying to. The big thing, obviously, with wrestling is you've got to build that rapport with the crowd, because they're the reason you're there. Basically, they're the what. What's that like at that early stage, and how do you keep that going?
It's strange, because I think going back to being a young fan, the whole wrestling being real and fake it wasn't anything that really bothered me. I didn't question it because I didn't really care.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we kind of picked up early. You need the fans, and whether, even if it's just if you're a heel, do some cheating. It doesn't mean little things like that. If you're the face, you need to get them behind you. Little things that a lot of wrestlers overlook. We kind of had that early on, but to be honest, it wasn't until 14 years in where I kind of got it.
Yeah.
And it was a strange thing, because I think I had tried having good matches for so long, but I overlooked the crowd being important to the match being good. And I was actually wrestling. It was the first time I wrestled Paul London, right. and like, Paul's now like one of my best friends, and we had a moment in the match, and like he nearly broke my arm early on in the match, and I had said kind of keep us going, and we carried on the match. And at one point, I went for a pin, and he had kicked out, and I was sat in the ring, and I wasn't doing like anything, and the crowd were reacting, and I kind of went, Oh, and then it was that whole slowing down. You've always got to do it slower, and it kind of, that's where when it sat in for us and kind of, okay, I know what I'm doing now. And yeah, it was strange how it worked, and now I'm like, the fans are the match for me. Anybody that's seen me wrestle knows I hate wrestling fans, and people overlook it, and I've been told, oh, I hate wrestling fans isn't a gimmick, and then they watch me wrestle and then go, I see what you mean. And it's that simple. It's something that connects me to the fans right away, rather than just having a character that's about me. I connect to the fans right away. And yeah, that's it. Just makes it easier once you have the confidence to let them in.
What about Target Wrestling? Obviously, that was kind of mainly set up in Carlisle. How's that kind of been for you? And how, obviously, like, you must obviously have a kind of personal aspect in that. Like, how important's that been to kind of see that develop as well?
Yeah, it's been a big thing, and I've had some huge matches there, and I considering I'm from Carlisle, and you always say about the hometown heroes and all that, and I'm probably been the biggest heel in Carlisle that there's been, but it's worked, and even that came about from wrestling imports and people have seen on TV. And it was such a simple transition that people seen these names on TV and cheered them when they appeared in Carlisle. And my argument was, I'm from Carlisle and you're cheering him. And having that believable turn, it kind of, I had a connection again with the fans right away, and it was there's been some big matches. I got to wrestle my childhood favorite, Al Snow.
Did you?
And that was a moment. I was very happy with that.
I see that thing as well. Like, obviously in the kind of early stages that you want to wrestle your heroes, but see when you're kind of at the stage later on where you've, as you say, you've had 21 years experience, do you kind of like the fact that you're going to wrestle young up and coming talent because you know that you see an opportunity to kind of skyrocket them? Is that kind of make sense? Like, do you see the other way it kind of works? Like,
absolutely. And at the moment, I'm doing a lot for PCW in Preston, and working with a lot of less experienced wrestlers, and I'm kind of relishing in my role as the veteran and being able to help them. And a lot of the time, you can only tell a wrestler so many times without them being in the ring and understanding it. So getting in the ring with some of these wrestlers is a big help for them, because they can kind of realize, okay, well, that's what I need to do in this situation. And yeah, it's like, as I say, I'm enjoying it. I've got the experience that I can pass on, help to a lot of wrestlers, and I didn't have that opportunity when I was starting. There wasn't a lot of knowledge passed on. So like we never got taught anything about like psychology and things like that. And having people kind of explain things gives people a bit of a head start in the career. Learning these things like 2 or 3 years in means that the 6 or 7 years down the line where you would normally pick them up, you've already got them. You've already got that experience, so it's yeah. I enjoy helping them because pro wrestling is so negative. And my argument is we like wrestling, so why are we so negative about it? If as fans we can't tell people the good things, why would the general public want to watch? And that should always be the big aim, is to get more people to watch wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, it's like you say they're not going to watch it if you keep telling them how rubbish it is.
No, exactly. What's your kind of future ambitions in the business? Like, obviously, are you kind of looking at maybe going into the next step of coaching, or what's your kind of next thoughts?
Just keep going until I stop. Really, I have my first overseas booking in November. I'm booked for an event in Tampa.
Very good.
And I'm like so excited for that because I never actually thought that I'd be getting to wrestle in the States, and not because of my ability. I understand that having to pay a wrestler to come from the UK to the US is expensive.
Yeah,
and that's what it comes down to. It always comes down to money. And yeah, they're willing to fly me out there, so I'm excited for that, definitely.
Brilliant. Well, we're wishing you all the best for that. We're going to close in the quick fire round. We put you in the spot. Are you good to be put in the spot? Right. Who's give us 3 of the best opponents you've ever worked with?
Paul London, Roderick Strong, and I'll go Jeff Cobb.
Very good. Dream opponent?
AJ Styles or Johnny Gargano.
What's the favourite match you've ever seen? Like, what's a match either at it or on the TV you thought that's the best match I've ever seen?
Best match I've seen in person was Shingo versus Yokosuka at one of the Dragon Gate shows in the UK, and it just blew my mind with how good it was.
Very good. Favourite match of your own?
It's hard to say because I'm very much my own biggest critic. But earlier this year, I wrestled Priscilla at PCW for the title, and it was like it made me realize how much I love wrestling, and it just we just worked together really well. And like when you're driving home and you just amped up from it, it's like, yeah, I love this. And so yeah, that's a one that stands out for me recently.
Brilliant. Who's your favourite wrestler of all time?
Al Snow, definitely.
Favourite dream promotion to work in?
Probably Dragon Gate.
Dragon Gate. Very good. Dream arena? Brighton Park.
I'd probably say Madison Square Garden, just for it's one of those iconic venues, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Final question: WWE or AEW?
I'd probably say WWE. I enjoy both because as I say, I love wrestling, and I don't enjoy all of it. There's stuff I like and there's stuff that I don't like. But WWE, it's been there the whole time, hasn't it? So there's more for me to enjoy through that. So yeah, I'm happy watching either, but I'd go WWE.
Brilliant. Shady, it's been an absolute pleasure to be on the show. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been really good.
No problem.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Thanks very much to everyone that's tuned in. Please join us on our next episode. We will do an all-out review and we will talk to another wrestler in the pro wrestling business. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Cheers.